Happy summerween, guys and ghouls. I am so excited. July 3rd through July 9th is officially Summerween Readathon. This is a readathon created by Gabby over at Gabby Reads, and I decided that it coincided with some video ideas that I already wanted to do. I had the intention of reading some summer books, but not just summer books, summer horror or thriller or dark and spooky books that fit into that whole summerween vibe because we're getting closer to Halloween, right? Everybody's favorite time of year. I love that every year it feels like Halloween just starts earlier and earlier. I'm the kind of person that likes to read horror, thriller, dark books all year round, so I love a summerween, a midsummer scream. I'm here for all of it. I love that the theme this year is a carnival. It's just right up my alley because I love clowns and carnivals and amusement parks and fairs, and that just screams summer for me. If you've never done the Summerween Readathon before, it's super easy. She gives you a list of about 5 prompts, it looks like here, and you just read books that match those prompts. You could read one book for each prompt, or you could read one book that matches all 5 prompts and complete it like that, which is perfect because I don't read too many books in a week. So I'm going to try to fulfill all 5 prompts using only 3 books. So the prompts are 1, read a book in the dark or at night. 2, read a thriller or horror book. 3, read a new to you author, someone you've never read from before. 4, read a book with pink on the cover. And 5, read a book with less than 250 pages. First of all, I'm going to be reading Joyland by Stephen King. This is a crime thriller novel from the king of horror himself. I believe it's a coming-of-age book that takes place in an amusement park and there is a killer on the loose. I originally tried to order the illustrated version, but they sent me this one instead, but I'm kind of not mad about it because this is such a cool cover. I just really wanted to see what the pictures were inside the illustrated version. Oh well, it's okay because they gave me a refund and they let me keep the book anyway, so still a win for me. Another book I plan to read in this vlog is Fantasticland by Mike Bakoven, and I keep hearing that this is one of the best audiobooks, so I got this book on Libro FM with one of my credits, and I'm gonna go ahead and listen to it that way because my library did not have a physical copy of it, so I will just be listening to that one as an audiobook. I believe it's kind of written as like a mockumentary, so it's really cool that in the audiobook there's different voices for the different characters, so I'm really excited to see how that all comes together. I love a really well done audiobook with a full cast. And then the third book I'm going to be reading in this vlog is Shitshow by Chris Panettiere. Now this one is just a little short novella, definitely under 250 pages, so that's going to fulfill that prompt. Also, he's an author I've never read from before. It does have pink on the cover, and if I read this book at night or in the dark, literally this one book alone could fulfill all 5 of these prompts. So I have no doubt that I will be completing Summerween successfully this year. I chose all 3 of these books because they have Ferris wheels on the cover. I was going through all the list of horror books or thriller books that had Ferris wheels and trying to pick the ones that I thought were the most interesting. I liked the connection of the Ferris wheel that made it a cohesive theme for this video, and I think a fun way to decide which book I read first is gonna be to put them in a spinner wheel, you know, kind of like a Ferris wheel to decide which one to read first, second, and then third. Okay, let me go ahead and spin the wheel and see which one we get first. Okay, that's exciting. I'm super hyped up about this audiobook. I'm gonna go ahead and pop that into my headphones and go ahead and start listening to that one. I did see in the comments of my last video that quite a few people have Fantasticland on their July TBRs, so I'm excited to hear everybody's thoughts. Tell me what you think about it, or if you're planning to read it very soon. I hope that I can report back with a good review so I can hype it up even more for you. You know what? While I'm at it, I'm just gonna go ahead and spin the wheel one more time to see which book I should pick up after Fantasticland, and then I'll already have the order in which to read my books. Okay, here we go with my little 50-50 wheel. Nice. Okay, honestly, that's perfect. A really little short novella to break up the two longer reads. I think that's a really awesome way to do it. I'm excited. Let's get to it. Since the 1970s, Fantasticland has been the theme park where fun is guaranteed. But when a hurricane ravages the Florida coast and isolates the park, the employees find it anything but fun. 5 weeks later, the authorities who rescue the survivors encounter a scene of horror. Photos soon emerge online of heads on spikes outside of rides and viscera and human bones littering the gift shops, breaking records for hits, views, likes, clicks, and shares. How could a group of survivors, mostly teenagers, commit such terrible acts? Wait, this sounds really cool. This is the first time I'm reading the synopsis, and I'm actually really excited. I just recently watched The Bay, which is another mockumentary type of found footage movie, and this is kind of reminding me of that. Obviously not the same scenario at all. They actually have nothing to do with each other at all, but I don't know why it's just giving me that same vibe. I don't know, it's just a movie that's been on my mind because it was actually perfect for summer. It actually takes place around 4th of July and in the water setting, so it's just a really good summer horror movie, kind of like Jaws. Anyways, that has nothing to do with anything. Let me go back to this synopsis. Presented as a fact-finding investigation and a series of first-person interviews, Fantasticland pieces together the grisly series of events. Park policy was that the mostly college-aged employees surrender their electronic devices to preserve the authenticity of the Fantasticland experience. Cut off from the world and left on their own, the teenagers soon form rival tribes who viciously compete for food, medicine, social dominance, and even human flesh. This new social network divides the ravaged dreamland into territories ruled by the pirates, the shopgirls, the freaks, and the mole people. If meticulously curated online personas can replace private identities, what takes over when those constructs are lost? Fantasticland is a modern take on Lord of the Flies meets Battle Royale that probes the consequences of a social civilization built online. I'm so excited. I have to tell you that the next 7 minutes is literally a day at the fair, and if you want to skip over that, I totally understand. I just wanted to include all of this as a memory for myself to look back on. I love the LA County Fair. It's something that I've been doing since I was a little kid, so I thought it would be really fun to actually record some footage of my day there with my husband, and it makes me happy to watch it, but I could totally understand anybody else watching it might be a little bit bored, so go ahead and skip ahead to the next timestamp if you want to get right back into the reviews for the Summerween books. Now, for those of you who are deciding to stick around and experience this day at the fair with me, I've decided I think I'm going to do a little bit of commentary. This building is every year they do a new installation with flowers. It's one of my mom's favorite places to go when we go to the fair, and so it always reminds me of her. What's your favorite car? Mine's a Chevy Bel Air 1957. But honestly, I'll take any of these. Ooh, right here when we were getting the candy, I was having such bad anxiety. I almost had a full-blown panic attack, and I think it was because I was overheating and just tired because I don't move my body enough, and it was really hot outside, so I had to take a break. But once I cooled down, we went to another one of the exhibition halls, and there was a little free library school bus, and I was able to get a really awesome book by Octavia Butler, which was really cool. I haven't read a book by her yet, so I was excited to find Kindred. Last year I found Boy's Life by Robert McCammon. I still have yet to read it, but I am really excited about that one because I feel like it's going to be a favorite for sure. I loved reading Stinger by him. His writing is amazing, at least from the one book I've read so far, so it's definitely a book that I need to pick up really soon. I feel like that one would have been really good to pick up for summer as well, but I'm running out of time. Summerween makes me feel like we're already moving into fall very soon, so I really don't think I'm gonna have time to squeeze that in for summer, but it's okay. I'm not like a huge seasonal reader anyways, so I'm just gonna read it when I feel like it. All I wear is like graphic black t-shirts, so I wanted to buy some of these so bad. Oh my god, her hair was so cool. Did you see it? I loved this building. This was a building full of nostalgia, and all of the little art installations were so nostalgic from the 80s and 90s, and I was just obsessed. I feel like I was just completely transported back in time. Back when they had VHS and video rental stores, that was one of my favorite things to do with my mom, is go rent movies. So seeing this like brought me so much joy. The Aquanet. I used to use that in high school. I remember when Pizza Hut had indoor dining areas like this. Man, good times. I love seeing the animals in the petting zoo. Like, I do and I don't. It makes me kind of sad to see them because I feel like they're trapped and stuff, but at the same time, like, I just love getting to experience them. This bird exhibit is something that I've never done before. This was my first time doing it, and I was filled with so much joy. Like, having these birds land on me, I felt like the bird lady from Mary Poppins, and I was obsessed. Like, I didn't want to leave there. I had the biggest smile on my face the whole time, my cheeks were hurting, and it was literally the highlight of the entire trip. Because I've been to the fair so many times, so it honestly feels like a repeat every year, even though I love it, but this was new for me, and I am so happy that I did it. I just love animals. What a joy. And look at how beautiful they are. I'm also really glad that they didn't poop on me, because that would have sucked. Okay, I finished Fantasticland and I'm giving it 4 stars, like a solid good time 4-star read. I listened to it completely on audiobook and it only took me a day to get through it, so it's a really quick read and it's just so much fun. I really truly feel like the best way to consume this story is through audiobook. The narrators did such a good job just differentiating the characters, and because the story is told completely through interviews, I think audiobook is truly the way to go with this one. Now, that being said, I do feel like if you're somebody who prefers like the showing and not telling, that's going to be something to consider. This book is all telling. Because every single chapter is an interview from a different survivor of what happened in Fantasticland, they're literally just telling their experience. So you are getting more of a telling, not showing. And then also because there's such a diverse cast of characters and you're getting different viewpoints every single chapter, it is going to be a little bit harder to probably connect with some of the characters and get emotionally invested. So just consider all of those things when going into it. But I do think that this book is a lot of fun. I think it's so interesting. I think it's just a really fascinating take on how humans may respond in a survival situation. But let's back it up a little bit so I can actually explain what happened in this book. So Fantasticland is a amusement park in Florida, very similar to Disney World and Universal Studios, which are mentioned frequently in the book. Now, the big inciting incident of this story is Hurricane Sandy. So because Fantasticland is by the coast, they end up getting trapped in this theme park. There's a big evacuation and a lot of people do get out, but a lot of people are actually trapped in the theme park. So we have a story about isolation. It's a story about survival and the human experience and how people start to respond when they're put in this survival mode. It's very reminiscent of Lord of the Flies, The Troop, the show Yellow Jackets, and I've also heard it compared to Battle Royale, which I have not read, but because I like this type of story, I think I really need to pick that one up. I also haven't read Lord of the Flies. I've only seen the movie, but I did pick up a copy at Goodwill not too long ago, so that's another one that I'm going to have to read very soon, because I'm really liking this kind of like trapped on an island or trapped in some isolated location and then we have to survive. And you start to see how humans essentially become monsters and how they kind of turn on each other, or they form these tribes or these hierarchies and they end up like killing each other or doing these really crazy things justified by their survival instinct. In Fantasticland already, I was like, this is ridiculous. It's only been 4 days and like shit already hits the fan like almost immediately. And you get to see them over the course of, I believe it takes a month before the rescue team comes to save them. And obviously you know who ends up surviving and stuff because of the people who are giving the interviews, right? You know, it's not really about like, oh, who's going to survive. It's not really that. It's more about like them telling the stories of what happened along the way. But it's so fascinating to hear, you know, the different sides to different stories and seeing it all unfold because of how they experienced it. You know, they could remember different parts of that event and they're all similar but slightly different. And then you might have people that are just straight up lying. So there's that. It reminds me of like that concept of like you can have like 10 people witness a car crash, but every single witness is going to give you a totally different story. But anyways, I love the setting of it being a theme park. I used to work at an amusement park, so I think that was so fun because I could just picture all of that in my mind. And I think the descriptions were so vivid that I could just see everything so clearly, like if I was watching a movie or a TV show or an actual documentary of this happening. And that was just so fun for me. I also didn't realize when I picked it up that this book is 10 years old. It's one of those books that still gets talked about a lot, so I thought it was more recently written, but it's not. It's actually written a decade ago, which is wild. I don't know why the theme park setting just screams summertime for me. It's weird because obviously there's the hurricane, so it's raining and humid and nothing summery about it truly in the book, but for me, I'm just like, give me an amusement park and I'm already thinking summer. But yeah, anyways, as I was reading the whole time, I just kept thinking like, what the frick is wrong with people? Like, why would you do that? They're literally in a place where they had so much food, so much shelter. Like, they could have just worked together and just waited it out. But instead, shit just hits the fan almost immediately. Like, people start killing people in this book, and it's just wild. Like, for no reason, though. Like, the whole time, I'm like, there is literally no reason why any of this happened. They do address that. It just feels so ridiculous, yet so plausible. I could really see this happening because people are sometimes really awful. And I feel like when that survival instinct hits and people get scared, I feel like this is like a comment on how easy it is for humans to just turn into monsters and turn against each other. It kind of reminds me of like The Walking Dead, where the humans are actually a lot scarier than the actual zombies, in my opinion. I also thought it was interesting commentary on cell phones and Wi-Fi and internet and social media, because the employees are not allowed to have their cell phones, so when the hurricane happens, they have no connection to the outside world. So there's no phones, there's no internet, there's not even any power. And there's just this comment that's made of, you know, how did this all happen, or why were people acting this way? And a lot of it goes back to, well, nobody's watching. None of this is getting recorded. This is not getting posted on the internet. So people kind of had this freedom and permission to act however they wanted to act, which brought out the most like vile parts of human survival instincts, and they just were doing some really outlandish things. And the excuse was kind of like, well, nobody's gonna record me and put me on the internet, so I can just act however I'm gonna act. Nobody was afraid to just kind of be their natural self or have their natural reactions, because there wasn't gonna be any kind of proof, I guess, besides eyewitness accounts, right? I was trying to decide between like 4 and 5 stars with this one because I did really enjoy it. I really liked the way it was written. I thought it was fun and different and interesting, but it wasn't necessarily like life-changing. It didn't like change my brain chemistry or anything. I do think I'll be thinking about this one and very much recommending it to like plenty of people, but I don't think it was like the best book I've ever read, right? I just think it was like a really good time. Solid 4-star, great time, highly recommend. Definitely listen to the audiobook. And I know I compared it to The Troop, but The Troop for me was 5 stars and it was way more graphic. So if you're interested in like The Troop, but you're not sure if you can take all that body horror or the animal abuse, just stick with Fantasticland. I think you'll be okay to handle Fantasticland over The Troop. Fantasticland is way less gory, way less graphic, probably more accessible to a wider audience that still wants that horror elements, but just not so extreme. I would definitely say go with Fantasticland. Now I'm just excited for more carnival or amusement park type of setting. So looking forward to my next read, which is going to be Shitshow by Chris Panettiere. Also, I do have to say that Shitshow is actually not as short of a book as I thought, and Fantasticland and Joyland are not as long as I thought. They're all kind of pretty close in page range, actually. Fantasticland was only 272 pages, Shitshow is 216 pages, and Joyland, even though it's written by Stephen King, is surprisingly only 285 pages. And I'm actually really thankful about all of that because you guys know I love short books. Okay, I had to do a little check-in because I started Shitshow this morning. So it's very short. The audiobook is only 5 hours and 44 minutes, and I'm actually listening to it at 2 times speed because it's a pretty easy read. So I felt like I could speed it up without kind of getting lost, right? Now, with a title like Shitshow and a porter potty on the cover, I wasn't really expecting it to be great. It's a short book. I feel like it was gonna be like this quick, fun, silly horror book, right? Well, so far, that's exactly what we're getting. I mean, there's not a lot of horror yet. I'm about 30% into the book, and honestly, if it wasn't so short and such a quick read, I would just DNF it because this is so stupid. So right off the bat in the prologue, we see this couple getting hot and heavy at this carnival, and they're trying to be discreet and hide from everybody, but still kind of hook up. And the girl has this bright idea to hook up inside of the porter potty, which first of all, that is so disgusting. Ew, never, gross. But that's how it starts. and then all of a sudden they're in the porta potty and something happens and then it fades to black. Something's going on with these porta potties. Then we kind of go on to our main character, Sunny, and he is a sanitation worker, or he works with the porta potties. We also see that his mother has dementia, and there has been a case of missing people going on in these carnivals associated with the porta potties. It looks like people are going missing, and the last place people remember them going is saying that they were going to go use the bathroom. And then our main character's mother goes missing. So now Sunny has this bigger investment on finding his mom, and he feels like there's something associated with these carnivals and specifically the porta potties. So already I'm like, this story is so stupid. Where is this gonna go? I kind of want more of the fair element, and you know, the fair, the carnival. I kind of want more of that to come into play. I want to know what this was. This an entity inside the porta potties? Like, what is going on? I'm curious enough to keep reading only because it's so short. The fact that I've only been listening to the book for maybe an hour and I'm already 30% into the book is giving me the motivation to continue. Otherwise, I would have been checked out. Let me finish the book so I can tell you if this gets any better. I have finished Shitshow, and I think I'm gonna give it a 2.5. I can't decide if I like it at all or not. It's hard because I want to like it more, and I just don't. I think the sense of humor is just not for me. I think some people might enjoy this humor, but I just wanted it to be more serious. Obviously, like, why would I think that with it literally being about a portal potty? Yes, portal potty. There's a part of me that's like, that's funny. So obviously when you have a horror book that is like geared towards like, hey, this is kind of like a joke, that's gonna hurt your enjoyment of it if you're not into the humor. That already was working against me as far as my enjoyment of the book. And then overall, I just found the story to be kind of lacking, mediocre. There was a part, like the aspect of the relationship between Sunday and his mother is what actually really made me like the story overall. It's weird because in my mind, I love carnivals and fairs and amusement parks and all these things, but every time I seem to pick up a book that involves some sort of dark carnival, I end up not rating it very high. And I don't know what that's about. Maybe my expectations for what I want in a carnival story are just so high that they never get met. Like, the bar is so high that it's just so hard for me to actually be satisfied or enjoy a book about a carnival. I don't know. I seem to enjoy the dark carnival trope a lot more in film. I think because I have all the visuals. I don't know, maybe with books it's just not my thing, which is surprising, but yeah, I have not found a book that I really enjoy that involves a carnival. I've tried The Night Circus. I soft DNF'd that because I was bored. I tried Something Wicked This Way Comes by Bradbury, and I tried reading that twice back to back because I was so confused and it just didn't hit for me, and I was like, what am I not getting? I think it was just his writing, and so like that one wasn't. I think I ended up rating that one like maybe 3 stars only. I did enjoy Bacchanal. That was a good one. That was a little bit different than I was expecting. That's probably my highest rated dark carnival book. That one was by, I believe her name's Veronica G. Henry. Let's see, I'm trying to remember any other dark carnival books that I've tried. I feel like there's another one that I've read recently that didn't hit either, but I'm not sure. But basically, I've tried quite a few this year, and I'm getting really like sad that they're not hitting. I did like Fantasticland, but again, that one's an amusement park, not a carnival specifically. So I don't know. If you have any other carnival, dark carnival books or things that involve clowns or circus or fairs or anything like that, throw them in the comments, your recommendations, because I really want to find a carnival book, especially a dark carnival, that I really love. And I'm kind of losing hope that there's one out there for me. I did make myself a list of other carnival books that I do want to check out, and so the ones that are on my list are Geek Love, Water for Elephants, Pilo Family Circus, Funland, and Hyde. I don't know if all of those are specifically carnival or some of them might be an amusement park setting, because I think Hyde might be an amusement park, and I don't know if Funland is also an amusement park, but those kind of gave me those vibes. Either they had Ferris wheels on the cover, they had, you know, carnival tents or clowns, things like that on the cover or in the overall synopsis, things of that nature. So I kind of usually lump amusement parks, circuses, and carnivals and fairs all into like the same trope for me, especially if they're like a dark setting, because they kind of all give that same vibe in my opinion, even though I know they're all slightly different by definition. But yeah, I guess basically if you have any other suggestions outside of that. And of course, I've already read One Day at Horrorland, which is a Goosebumps book by R.L. Stine. That is one of my favorite Goosebumps stories that I've loved since I was a kid. So that was a fun one. But yeah, if you haven't read that one, I would definitely recommend checking that one out. But anyways, back to Shitshow. So I didn't really care for the dark carnival aspect as much in this book. I felt like that part just wasn't fleshed out enough for me. I really didn't care about it, to be honest, but the part that I really enjoyed, like I was saying, was the main character's relationship with his mother. I loved seeing how much he loved his mom, how much he cared about her and wanted to take care of her, and when she went missing, you know, he just did everything that he could to go and find her and try to help her and save her. And that whole aspect with the dementia and all of that, that's everything that I loved about this book. And I actually really, really liked the ending, like this, especially the epilogue. That part was so good to me. I loved that, and so that's what like made me want to raise my rating a little bit. But I think that just, I don't know if I could even give it 3 stars, because the whole thing overall really wasn't entertaining for me. Like I honestly fell asleep and then had to wake up and go back and re-listen to the parts that I missed, because I was kind of like in and out the whole time because I just wasn't that entertained. But I did like some aspects of the book. It also didn't help that I felt like the narrator was really comical, as in, like, I didn't like the voices that he was doing for some of the characters. They just made it sound even more ridiculous than the book already was. So, I don't know, maybe this would have been better if I would have read it physically and pictured their voices differently in my brain. I think this book does have an audience for those who have that kind of sense of humor and want to have, like, just a fun, silly read. It's pretty good for that. And it's very quick. It's a very, very quick read. I'll give it that. Okay, now that I've finished 2 of the 3 books on this vlog, I think I'm going to give myself a little bit of a break, play some games, watch some TV, and then I'll jump into my last book. So I'll see you when I have an update for you on Joyland by Stephen King. I'm so tired and I need to go to sleep, but I wanted to check in. I got to page 101 in this book, which means I'm about 35% way through it. Nothing is happening in this book. It is very slow paced. I don't not like it, but I am desperately wanting something to happen. It's literally just this older man telling the story of a summer in his youth. So I think he is like now 65 or something like that, and he's talking about this one summer that he had working at Joyland, and the summer where he first got his heart broken and he ever experienced that pain. Like I said going into this book is very much coming of age, and I knew that. So I knew not to expect like straight up horror or, you know, a really fast-paced thriller or anything. Like I knew from reading the synopsis and what I've kind of heard about it a little bit that this was going to be very coming of age story. So there's a lot about his first love and his first heartbreak, but really all we're seeing in the first 100 pages is him getting a job at this theme park. It's a lot closer to a carnival where they call each other carnies and they have this like way of speaking to each other. It's a very in-depth setup, a world building, if you will. And I like that. I do. Mostly where I'm struggling is that I don't have the audiobook for this because I'm waiting for it on Libby and I'm literally the next person in line. But even with that, there's still a 2-week wait and you have to wait till the person returns it because usually you can check the book out anywhere from 7 to 21 days. So even if I'm next in line, it could still be like 2 weeks before I get the book. And I didn't want to wait that long to read this, so I have been reading it only with my eyeballs. So I'm also thinking that that is partially why I'm feeling like the book is so slow, is because I just read so much slower when I'm reading physically. And again, I'm not saying I don't like it. I actually really like the way that Stephen King writes, where he really gives these full visual descriptors and you really get a sense of the world and the people. I think he does a really good job of setting everything up, which oftentimes does make his books feel a lot slower paced in general, just from having read a few of them from him. So I like it and I don't, I guess. It forces me to slow down, which is not a bad thing. Another thing that I wanted to mention that's actually really helping me read this book physically is that I downloaded this app called Focus Town, and actually a bunch of my Bookish friends also downloaded it, and it's really cute. There's really nothing to it, but it kind of feels like doing sprints. You have this little caricature that you make, and your character can go into different locations like a library or an airplane or a train, and you just go in there and do whatever you're gonna do, like read or study or work, and you put what you're doing in your status bar and then you sit there and you do your activity. And the cute thing is that other people's little avatars are also in that location sitting with you. So it's kind of like you're sitting together in a library, but it's like a virtual space, and it's like you're sitting together reading next to each other in this virtual library. And I've just been enjoying it. I've been going in and using it with friends, and it's actually been really nice because you kind of still have this sense of community. It really does help me to stay focused because I know that my friend is also doing something wherever they're at, and I'm doing whatever I'm doing, and we can still do it together. It gives me that sense of like motivation to continue to sit down and read. I'm now at the 65% mark of this book. I just need to vent a little bit. So I have been waiting so long for something to happen, and nothing is happening in this novel. I'm having a really hard time because I really like his writing because it's so vivid. I'm so immersed. He does such a good job of, writing every single detail, almost painfully slow, to the point where I am right there in the story. Like, I can see everything. I can see every fully fleshed out character. I can see every bit of Joyland. Like, I'm in it. It's just that the overall story is boring. Like, literally nothing is happening. We are literally following this boy's day-to-day life. Look at this cover. Look at the beautiful art and imagery on this cover. Like, what is this saying to you? Like, doesn't this read as like crime, thriller? Like, even on the side, it says hard case crime. Right here we have who dares enter the funhouse of fear. This cover is a lie. All of this is a lie. Literally nothing is happening. There is no fear, there is no killer, there is no murder case, there's no crime. I just want you to be aware, if you haven't read this, what you're going into. I'm not saying it's a bad book. I did know going into this that it was going to be very coming of age, but I also thought we were going to get like some kind of maybe a murder mystery along with that. Honestly, anything. I don't know, maybe I'm just not in the mood for it because, like I said, I'm so back and forth with whether I like this or not. I feel like I'm bored, but I love the writing and I feel like I love a vivid story. So the fact that I'm like, I can picture everything, I love that, but I also don't care at the exact same time. Like, I feel like if I just put this down right now and never picked it up again, like, I'd be fine. Like, I would not be missing anything. I would not be curious about anything. I'm good. But it's also really hard for me to DNF because I'm like, but what's in the last few pages? Like, is something gonna happen at the end? Like, am I just about to get to something? But at the same time, I'm like, why are we waiting this long to get to anything? You know, like, that's a lot of pages to before anything happens. So I'm really on the fence with this. Like, for me right now, this book is sitting at a 3-star because I'm so middle of the road with it. Like, I don't hate it, but I don't love it. I'm not even necessarily sure I'm like super enjoying it. I think at this point, the only thing that can happen is it could get bumped up to a 3.5 if the end of the book ends up being like really good. I don't think this would ever get to a 4-star. I don't know. If you read this book and you feel differently, like, what are your thoughts on this? I'm curious. Everybody seems to really like this book, and I feel like I'm a little bit of the odd one out. Like, what did you enjoy about this book? What didn't you enjoy? Because I'm very curious about other people's thoughts around this one. Okay, I'm gonna slog through it and see if anything happens in the end. Just at this point, I just need to know. And at least I could tell you. Oh, wait. I'm back already because I needed to also say that another thing that I've been noticing about this book is there are a lot of references that I am just not getting. And I get it. Stephen King's an older guy, and the time period that this is set in is, I believe it's 1973. So there's a lot of references to people or phrases or maybe shows or I don't know, just different things that are just going right over my head. I am not getting so many of the references, which, yeah, that's kind of a bummer because I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. So I just kind of breezing on over those. And then another thing that I wanted to say was how many times boobs are referenced. I know that he's a little bit notorious for writing about women's bodies and things, and you would think with a later novel, I know this one's published in 2013, so by the time, you know, we're kind of past the age of, you know, of the time, but I guess he's still a guy of his time and his generation, and he still writes in the same kind of creepy old guy mentality of saying things out loud that, like, you should probably just keep in your head, and why do we have to read so many times about this different woman's breasts? Like, I get it. He's a guy. He likes breasts. That's fine. Hey, me too. I feel like I wish I would have started tabbing every time, like, boobs were mentioned to just see how many times. And I feel like sometimes when you're reading an older novel, like from the 80s or something, you're like, all right, like, I kind of know what I'm getting here, but, like, this one's from 2013, buddy. But I get it. The excuse is that he's a young boy and we're in his mind. I mean, maybe that's just what you get when you read a male main character point of view type of book. I don't know. Like, I'm not, like, bothered, but it's just something that I was aware of. I was just painfully aware of how many times the shape of breasts were mentioned. And I don't know. I guess I just don't read a lot of books where there's a male main character, especially a coming-of-age male main character. I mean, the main character is 21, so, I mean, he's not that young. He's not, like, going through puberty, but yes, he is a young man, and he is a virgin, so, I guess, you know, the female anatomy is still very intriguing for him. So, I don't know. I guess that's just what you get when you get a male point of view. I don't know. I just feel like some writers just work that in a little bit more than others, and it was just a comment. I just wanted to bring it up as something I noticed. It is very much giving older white male author. I've read some 5-star reads that have that same kind of, like, writing style, where breasts are mentioned like a trillion times. So it's not like I can't love the book. It's just something I feel is unnecessary, but I mean, the male gaze, I guess. I have finally finished this book. I will say that the whole crime and mystery solving aspect does come into play in the last quarter of the book, and it's really good. I just feel like by the time we got to that part, I just didn't care. I still liked it, but I still think it's a 3-star because I'm actually really glad to just be done with this book. I was bored. So I just don't know. I don't understand it. I can't explain it. I don't know what happened here. I don't understand my feelings around this. I both liked this and didn't like this at the exact same time. It is a conundrum. I'm so confused. So I honestly just think that Stephen King is an amazing writer and I enjoy his writing style. It just wasn't a story that was for me personally. I think it was just a little bit too slow for me, or maybe I just didn't really care all that much about the character, like the main character and his overall story. I don't know. He was just kind of like boring. He's just a boring guy. This is his story of this one summer that was really amazing, but also really terrible at the same time for him. It's the most memorable summer of his life, and you're just getting his whole play-by-play of the summer. I think you have to go into it really, really knowing that this is going to be slow. Even though this is such a short book and you think that it would just read really fast, at least for me it felt so long because nothing is happening for a majority of the book. And it is a setup, right? It's a long game setup for this crime mystery thriller aspect at the very end. I guess the mystery is there the whole time. Like it is, but it isn't, you know, because I'm telling you, the first 2/3 of the book, there's only like hints of it. You're not in that crime solving mode. It's really just a background subplot of his life that summer until the very end. So yeah, I guess maybe if our main character was a little bit more interesting. I don't hate it. I don't love it, but it has a great cover. I will give it that. The cover, amazing. And with that, I hope you had a great time. Leave me comments. Have you read any of these books? Do you want to read any of these books? I think the next thing I'm gonna do is start the Hunger Games series, which I have never read before. I've only read the first book and I've seen the movies, but I'm gonna be putting up a reading vlog of that coming up soon, hopefully. So stay tuned for that, and I will see you in the next video.